Please explain heart-centered thinking everyone talks about and how it relates to the seat of consciousness.
Okay. Consciousness, as we have previously discussed in other sessions, is a rotating toroidal sphere of photonic energy. And in third density, when you emerge from second density and you are in the third density, the column in the center of the toroidal array is fully developed. As the photons run up this column, it looks like two tornadoes that meet in the center, and there's a hole all the way through. As they run up the center and out and around the outside of the array, they create energetically through their oscillations and through the rotation of this sphere, they create a secondary center. At the very center is an energy center as these photons are rotating. This is the development of self-aware consciousness. This is how consciousness becomes self-aware and understands itself to be separate from the construct. It's not an instinctual animal operating on inboard programming anymore. It now has a consciousness about itself. It asks larger questions. How? Why? Why do I exist? Why do we exist? Where do we go when the body ends? These questions. This is self-awareness that every human on this planet has. So in the early stages of third density, you pretty much aren't too far removed from an instinctual creature. It tastes good, you eat it, it feels good, you do it, and you start moving forward, and you start looking for things to latch onto that will help you grow and ascend. And the religions are there to help you do that to a certain point. And then after that, they become a limiting construct. But as you continue to grow, as your consciousness continues to gain energy and expand, this center that is within this rotating sphere, Todd has published this picture before. It's around your heart. And this is why they call it heart-centered thinking, which is more appropriately called your seat of consciousness, which is what Todd is trying to provide to the people, that this is your seat of consciousness, and this is why they say heart-centered thinking. So as you continue to increase your photonic energy within your consciousness, this seat of consciousness becomes more pronounced and stronger. And the energy, he's watching it as we're discussing it, and this energy becomes more pronounced. You think that your consciousness, that you observe reality through your eyes and that your consciousness exists somewhere in your brain, but that's not correct. Your brain is just the interface into this vehicle to the construct. Your real consciousness exists around your heart because that's your heart center. And the toroidal column runs through your body, and the energy centers of the body are well documented, and they're easy to find on the internet, and you can find them. And these pictures exist all over the place. But the heart-centered thinking, and as people emerge from third density and they're moving into fourth density, they look for the proper words to be able to describe the things they're feeling within their bodies, because this is how you gain awareness, is through the feelings of your body, because mostly you identify as the body until you begin meditating and you start to find that there's a larger portion of yourself that exists. So the first concepts are to think from your heart, because when you start thinking from your heart, you're starting to think in larger creational terms of we are all one, and I don't want to cause harm to another consciousness. I want to provide love and kindness and assistance. And these are all positive creational energy expressions. Now, the opposite side of that would be the negative polarity, and the negative polarity is not operating from the heart, and that's why you're not going to hear somebody tell a soldier, go kill that guy from your heart. It makes no sense, right? So did we answer that question? Because I know there's a lot of questions here that we're going to get to.
I think so. I think that explains the relationship. The next question is, explain the correlation between the perception of consciousness in the brain, the seat of consciousness at the heart center, and the veil of forgetfulness.
Okay, so now we're getting into the meat and the potatoes of this question. Okay, your brain is a consciousness interface. We're trying to relate this. You're playing a video game. Your game controller that you're smashing with your fingers to try and make your little avatar on the screen do what you want, is your interface to that game. Without that control, if you throw that controller down and you smash it on the ground, your little game avatar is going to sit there and do nothing. If you leave the screen on, it won't be able to do a thing because you no longer have an interface to control it. Okay, your brain is your consciousness interface. It is the interface between the toroidal sphere of your consciousness, the seat of consciousness that exists around your heart, and your connection to embodiment. And your connection to embodiment allows you to operate within the construct, whatever construct it is. In this construct, it's Earth 2018. So the brain is your interface. It's a neural pathway where consciousness is operating the body. It's a very, very complicated interface, as your doctors have found out. There's still parts of it that they don't quite understand. They've got a pretty good map of how things are working in the instinctive and other levels of the brain, but some of the connections to consciousness they haven't discovered yet. And it's coming. First they have to be able to identify the energy of consciousness and how it leaves the body. And once they get past that, then they'll start to see where the connections are to consciousness within the brain and how that interface works with the energy network. Okay, so we're talking about the brain, and we see that that's the interface. You have your seat of consciousness that exists around your heart center, and your heart is beating, and it has an electrical charge, and it's doing all of these things, and there's all of these pictures on the internet that show a smaller sphere that's around the heart, and they call this the heart energy or the heart field or whatever it is they're calling it. This is your seat of consciousness, and this is what's operating your body. It's charging the energy systems of your body to keep it operating. You're a chemical battery, and you're not operating at 100% efficiency. You're not a completely solar powered vehicle at the moment. You're still, putting gas in your car tank by, food through your mouth. But at some point you will stop doing that, and you will become completely a solar powered vehicle. Not literally, right, but a photonically powered consciousness vehicle. And that's right at the end, right before you no longer need a body at all, because you have to wean off of the fact that you think you need to eat and consume matter for energy, and we get you there. Okay, the veil of forgetfulness. When you're born into a body through Earth, it's the birthing process, and you come out as a little thing that doesn't know anything. And if you look at a newborn baby, the baby's like, holy cow, what is this? It's trying to figure out its construct. It's got to figure out the vehicle that it's in. It's got to figure out how to operate the vehicle. It's got to start to figure out how to operate within the construct that it finds itself in. So when consciousness embodies in this planet, or in many other planets where the veil of forgetfulness is employed, the seat of consciousness, there is an energetic barrier that is erected completely around the seat of consciousness. And any information that exists from prior lifetimes within that seat of consciousness, to the best of the ability of the collective that's preparing you for the birthing process into the construct, they're going to remove any prior information from within that energetic barrier, so that when you appear within the construct, and whether it's a humanoid form or some other form, a squid or whatever, that you're going to have no memories that you can operate from, because they're an impediment. They're not a benefit, they're an impediment. And this is done for your benefit. We remove these prior experiences so that you have a clean slate to operate from and grow and learn your lessons. So this barrier exists around your seat of consciousness, which is in human form exists around your heart. And you begin to accumulate experiences within this seat of consciousness through your brain interface of your body that is collecting them into your seat of consciousness. So you have this brain. Consider your brain as a thumb drive. You have a thumb drive. You connect that thumb drive to your computer, and it has information on it. Or you start putting information on it from programs that you're downloading programs, and you're putting them into this thumb drive. Okay, your brain is your thumb drive to your larger consciousness, which is the seat of consciousness, which is operating from your heart. as you gain experiences, let's go early on in the lifetime of a human form. You're a caveman or whatever, and you have a few experiences, and you're learning how to operate the body and how to be in a construct and how to be a human. As you die, that thumb drive downloads all that information into your seat of consciousness, and off you go. And you're going to go to whatever it is you expect. And obviously, if you're a caveman, you're not expecting much. So, you're just going to go, and you're going to get ready for the next lifetime, and you're coming back. And all of this is for expansion of your consciousness, to increase your photonic array so that you can balance and gain the experience to move into the next level of awareness, which is called here densities. You're moving into the next density of consciousness, which is the density of your photonic array, to move forward.